Hello viewers, thank you again for joining for this part 2. I mistakenly called readers the other time, should actually be viewers. So this is made for our viewers who may not be interested in reading long articles. So in part 1, we identified some areas where customers, where salespeople can exploit, to defraud the organization process. We do talk about wastages, scraps, sales return, discount, self-sales, sales incentives. So, and I promise that in part 2, we will be talking about the solutions, the practical solutions to address these issues. I briefly alluded to some of these solutions in part 1, but this part 2 is mainly focused on discussing the solutions of the of preventing fraud through this process. Of course, the first thing that I must be keep proper record of all wastages. Either the wastages came through a production or through handling and everything, there should be a record, and that record should be distinct, should be demarcated. Again, it is also advisable that the sales team should not be involved in keeping record about wastages. Yes, it could be done by production people, it could be done by the storekeeper, it could be done, even some other fairly complex organization. It is now that take note of all this record and make sure that they are also separated from the normal product. Of course, there should be a policy on sales of scraps. The sale of scrap is susceptible to manipulation. In some organizations, it is called scrap because they cannot be resold, in the normal course of trading. Like for example, in newspaper, when newspaper are returned maybe after 2 or 3 months that has been published from vendors, you cannot resell them as if you are selling newspaper for that day. So it's usually bound together and sold as scraps. And its weight, there's usually a condition around it that it's weighed by the kilogram and everything. Then you have also standard customers who go around newspaper houses to buy scraps. So there should be a policy around that. You should be able to fix the price based on what your competitors are doing. So there should be a clear policy. There should be clear maybe registration of customers who you sell scrap to. In this instance, I will advise that the sales team should not be allowed to handle sales of scrap because it should not be part of their duty at all. And of course, when sales are returned, it should be distinctively marked. Because some of the sale returns are actually good, it's just maybe the customer was oversupplied, so he had to return the excesses or stuff like what was given to the customer. The customer believed he didn't need that much, so he returned the rest. There are part of it also that could have been damaged. So when sales are returned, you have to first inspect the condition of the sales return, and if they are good, you keep them aside, and you add them back to you go back to your stock record and add them back. And also you adjust the record for the debtors, especially if they are both on credit. Then you put it back to the sales, to the available goods for sales. If there are damaged goods that are returned, of course you also mark them. Maybe you add them to scrap. You sell them as scrap or as damages. So there should be distinct record, not maintained by sales team. Because when sales team maintain all this record, the tendency to manipulate them is very high. Then there should be also a clear way of monitoring sales discounts. Sales discounts should be monitored very well. Sometimes you have to depend on the database to monitor your sales discount. This kind of sales discount should be to a customer who already has been doing business with you, not just an ad hoc customer. Why it is very important is because when you have this discount, there is tendencies for staff, to act as to the customer as proxy. They bring in people and present them fictitious customers, we want to call them. They bring them and ask them to they collect the actual price from those people, the actual amount for selling. Then they ask the guy to come and buy and enjoy discount. So sometimes the guy they used to come and buy the goods is not the guy they sell to. So they just collect the goods from him and sell to the customer at the normal company price, thereby making extra money for themselves at the expense of the organization. So what you should be very careful to how you handle this. Then the other one about staff sales. So staff sales is very good. It's very, very good because it's a good motivation for staff to also patronize the products the organization where they work in are making. But then if you don't put a limit to it, it can be abused. Because a smart staff can decide to buy more than he needed, only to go and resell them in the open market at the company price. So they were making extra money. So if you don't limit the amount of quantity that you want to give to staff, as staff said, you will make it very porous and it will become it can be abused. So staff sales are actually very good, maybe during festival period, end of year, or any of the religious festival, to encourage staff to patronize, to use the product of the organization they work for. Then another thing you can do to control this, maybe you are saying, every staff that wants to buy, let them indicate, as I said in the first video, let them indicate their intention, and whatever they are buying should be deducted from their salary. If you ask them to bring cash to pay for the sales staff, there's every likelihood they will go out and scramble for regular customer and collect full amount of the company is selling it for those goods, and come and buy at staff price and sell back, so making extra money. So I think that is a disservice to the organization, but if you allow that, it will happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sales incentive is very good. It's usually very good, especially to reward loyal customers, consistent customer. So there must be some yardstick, again a policy issue here, whereby you say, okay, you can have something like end of year, distributor of the year, head of quarter customer, and head of monthly, the highest customer, the best customer in the month, and stuff like that. All this should be properly documented, and there should be policy around them, so that it's not a case of the staff taking something out and and say that, oh, he has given it as incentives. You have to be very much. If you do generous, buy 10 and get one free, like I said earlier, some staff may say, okay, they may collect money from 3 different customers and ask one of them to come and buy as a single customer who had bought 10 and collect the incentives. So the purpose of that incentives would have been defeated. So you're just creating another avenue for the organization for the organization to be defrauded by its employees. So my employee will not see anything wrong with this. So it just, to them, it's a way of making extra money. But that extra money they are making should have actually come to the company and help to reduce the cost or increase the bottom line of the organization. So you have to be mindful of this. And of course, you have to think of having a sound internal control system. Internal control system whereby there is segregation of duties. There are so many aspects of internal control system, but most importantly here, segregation of duty will be very important, so that no single individual begin a process and finish that process. If you do that, there will be no controls, there will be no checks and balances, and that creates opportunity for employees to defraud the organization through this process. So you might need the services of consultants to set up a very simple internal control system. It doesn't have to be complex, and like I keep on saying, when you hire a consultant, it should not be for free. It should be a paid service. And there are also categories of consultants. It's not all consultants you have to break the bank to be able to hire. So look for the consultant that will match the size of your pocket or the size of your operation, and engage them. Some of them even do this on part-time basis, and they'll be able to, because they don't have heavy overhead. Provided they are giving you quality, you can hire those who are part-time consultant. But by all means, all this all these processes that you cannot establish by yourself, or you don't have the time to establish them, hire a third party and pay them some. What you are saving in the long run will more than compensate for what you are paying the consultant. So that is it. So there are so many areas in an organization that employee could commit fraud. This is one of them. Subsequently, we also look into some other areas as time goes by. So when you have a system, make sure that all this issue of wastages, scraps, sales incentives, discount are not handled by the system. They should be handled by every other department. Again, without good internal control system, there may be a possibility of collusion, and that is why you have a case of if you have established a process of monitoring. Sometimes it is also better to have an outsider to come and monitor, maybe at intervals on a quarterly basis or maybe on a monthly basis, depending on the volume of your transaction. So these are the factors that will help you to determine the kind of process you will need to do them. The sales process could attract a lot of fraudulent practices, which organization may inadvertently, open its door, open its system for the staff to exploit. If you don't understand and don't monitor all these things, you may not even know that fraud is going on in your organization, and you will be losing a lot of money. Pay attention to all this we have said. If you have other questions, let us know, or ask your consultant or those who are knowledgeable in the issue that we have discussed about. Thank you once again for those who have subscribed. Thank you for those who are watching but they have not subscribed. Please just take that simple step, subscribe, and also press the notification button, so that as soon as a new video is dropping, you will be alerted and be able to watch. And don't always forget to share this with your friend. Thank you and have a great day.